I'd like to welcome everyone to the October 10th regularly scheduled board meeting. And I'd like to start the meeting, first of all, with a moment of silence. It'll be followed by a pledge of allegiance, and certainly, I'm sure on all of our minds are all the things that are going on in the Middle East at the moment, and obviously all the things that the folks there need that perhaps a moment of silence could be dedicated to them. So if you please stand for a moment of silence, and then we'll do the the pledge to allegiance. Thank you. It's to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First order of business is to adopt the agenda. I'll take a motion as such.
So moved.
So moved by Jason.
Second.
Seconded by, I think Josh was next. All those in favor of adopting the agenda as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The approval of consent agenda, a motion needed for that.
So moved.
So moved by Cody. Seconded by Mr. Klopfelte. All those in favor of adopting the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And they are adopted. All closed session summaries and announcements from last month and announcements for this month can be found on our Board of Education website. And there's a thorough listing of all of those things. So we'll move on to recognitions. Our first recognition is National School Lunch Week, which is October 9th this week through the 13th. So Scott, if you'll come forward, we'll do a proclamation as such.
The National School Lunch Program has served our nation admirably for 77 years through advanced practices in nutrition education. And whereas the National School Lunch Program is dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children. And whereas the National School Lunch Program has been joined through the years by many of our other excellent child feeding programs. And there is evidence of the continued need for nutrition education and awareness of the value of school nutrition programs. Now, therefore, the Garrett County Board of Education do hereby proclaim the week of October 9th to 13th, 2023 as National School Lunch Week. And we encourage all residents to become aware and concerned about their children's and their own nutritional habits and hope that achieving a more healthy citizenry of today and the future.
Yeah. Our next recognition will be National School Bus Safety Week, which is October 16th to the 20th, 2023, which is next week.
Children are our nation's most precious resource, representing our nation's future and protecting their needs to our highest priority. And whereas America's school buses comprise the largest mass transportation fleet in the country, being 2.5 times the size of all other forms of mass transit combined, and whereas school buses meet higher construction specifications and inspection standards than any other vehicle, and whereas school bus drivers meet higher qualifications, training, and testing standards than any other drivers, and whereas National School Bus Safety Week, which dates back to 1966, recognizes the hard work and dedication of a school transportation personnel, especially the many school bus drivers who ensure a safe journey each and every day, and whereas the thousands of pupils, The thousands of pupil transportation professionals throughout every state work continuously to promote the safety of our nation's school-age children and to improve upon an already stellar safety record through national conferences, driving and poster competitions, and local media promotions, emphasizing the importance of school bus safety both on and off the school bus. Now, therefore, we, the Garrett County Board of Education, do hereby proclaim the third full week of October as National School Bus Safety Week and encourage all citizens to recognize the hard work and dedication of pupil transportation professionals, the excellent safety record of school bus drivers, the benefits of school bus driver training, the importance of students obeying safety rules at all times, and the needs for heightened vigilance on the part of all vehicle drivers when in the vicinity of school buses. Dated the 10th day of October, 2023.
Our last recognition will be National Custodian Day, which was celebrated on October 2nd. And I'd like to recognize some custodians this evening.
Good evening. Whereas custodians are an essential part of the Garrett County Public School community, working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure that our schools are clean, safe, and a healthy learning environment for our students, teachers, and staff. And whereas custodians are responsible for a range of critical tasks, including cleaning of classrooms and facilities, maintaining school grounds, ensuring proper sanitation and hygiene, and responding to maintenance issues. And whereas custodians often sacrifice their time to ensure that our schools are ready for the next day of learning, and whereas the contributions of custodians to the success of our schools goes beyond their job responsibilities, as they also serve as a positive role model. They are mentors and friends to our students and staff. And whereas National Custodian Day is a special occasion to recognize and appreciate the hard work, dedication, and service of our custodians, and to express our gratitude for all they do to support our schools and our community. Now, therefore, the Garrett County Board of Education recognizes October 2nd, 2023 as National Custodian Day in all of Garrett County Public Schools. We urge all members of the Garrett County Public School community to join us in recognizing the outstanding contributions of our custodians and expressing our appreciation for their unwavering commitment to keeping our schools clean and safe for all. And you all do a wonderful job. I know during the COVID years you were a little bit stressed, I'm sure. The cleaning, certainly the cleaning went up as far as the attention to that. So great job, and I think we'll do a picture now. And Doug. Had to get that in.
Sad.
George Kitchener, right now, Denton Road. John Wolf, Bradford, Jim Magruder, High School, Doug Miller,
You know, as a principal, you don't even need to make three friends. The secretary, the cafeteria manager, and the custodian. Because without any of those three, you're in a lot of trouble. Of course, I was the principal when Mr. Carr got hired here at Southern High School. And look where he is now. There goes the crowd. Yeah, there he goes. Great work here. He's wonderful. Okay, we're going to move along to policies and procedures. Our first policy and procedure is CAA, Administrative and Supervisory Staff Evaluation Policy and Procedure, which is a revision. Presented by Dr. Miller.
Good evening. Tonight I have to present to you Policy and Procedure CAA. The revisions to this policy are really to update the language to be in line with current legislation and COMAR. So you'll see, obviously, there's 4 links under legal. Those are all the legal requirements. And I would say that it is also bringing this policy and procedure up to date with our current practice. Our principal and teacher evaluation system was overhauled many years ago under the Maryland Law 6202. And this brings this up to date with our practice that was approved at that time for principals, and also extends some of our current practices to our other administrators that are not principals. So I'd be glad to answer any questions about it. This is a first read.
Questions about either policy or the procedure? We'll bring it forth again next month
Yes, sir.
for action item. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next policy procedure is GJA, Teacher Visitation Policy and Procedure. This is a retirement. And back by popular demand.
Yes, sorry about that. I forgot about this one. So this is up for retirement, as when we revise the teacher evaluation policy and procedure, GAB, it encompasses the components of these, so it's no longer needed or relevant.
Questions about the retirement? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item is GAAF, Evaluation of Supporting Services Personnel Policy and Procedure, also a first read revision.
Good evening. So this evening, in GAAF, the policy and procedure for evaluation of support staff, we are revising this to align with our current practices of our support staff, as well as align it with the template. So are there any questions for the modifications from the procedure or the policy? This is for a first read.
Any questions? Okay, we'll take up any questions next
All right.
month.
Thank you very much.
Next item, FEDAA, Procurement of Architectural and Engineering Services Policy and Procedure. It's retirement. By Mrs. Schweitzer.
Good evening. We're recommending that you retire the FEDAA because we've revised the DJ procurement policy and procedure to provide any of the relevant pieces of this policy and procedure. They're incorporated in the DJ procurement policy and procedure, as well as the State Finance and Procurement Division 2, General Procurement Title 13-301 through 13-323, which is what this policy and procedure cover, was repealed in October of 2017.
Questions? Thank you. Next item, EFAA, bidding on food and food supplies used in county food service program policy, also retirement.
Yes, this is also one that we're requesting be retired, as with the same as the prior one. DJ procurement policy and procedure with the revisions that we have there. It encompasses all funds, including food service.
Any questions about the retirement of this policy procedure? Okay, let's move on to the last one. DNA, disposal of surplus and obsolete property procedure retirement.
This one is also being recommended to be retired as we proposed proposed and you've approved the revisions to DID, fixed asset policy and procedure, and all relevant pieces have been incorporated in those revisions.
No questions. I just want to say Mr. Gladfeldy and I sit on the policy committee, and we had lengthy discussion about all of those. I know it's everyone else's first read, but I don't think they'll find many issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Anyone? All right, thank you. Continuing business, FY 2025 capital improvement plan. This is an action item tonight.
Hey, good evening. Between the meeting last month and this month, there were some small updates to the CIP. I provided those the document to the board, which included the cost estimate for the portables is at $300,000. That'll be spread out over 4 fiscal years, starting here in 24 and then through the project in 26. Added the cost estimate for the Northern High School bleachers at $165,000. And then we decided to possibly do the feasibility study for Friendsville's renovation. As part of the Crellin, we're thinking if we have a firm here, might be a little more cost effective to do 2 at one time as opposed to doing them individually in 2 different years. And then we'll kind of know where we stand with moving forward with Friendsville after the feasibility study. I adjusted in FY25, the cost estimate is at the 94-6 split. It's what we anticipate for that project as we go forward. And then in 26, we made some adjustments to Route 40. We determined that we will continue to patch the roof at Route 40 as needed until it's eligible for replacement as we go farther into fiscal years. And I put a footnote for that. And then we are looking at MEA's decarbonization grant to replace the boilers. This would take them from gas to electric. It's an initiative being as part of legislation. So we're going to meet on that to try to possibly also support that with solar on the same site. So we're working with MEA here in the next month or so to see where we stand. That's still going through the process of how the money is going to be. There's $24 million that's laid out. We'll see where we end up in Garrett County with what that's going to be. So those are the changes prior from the last meeting to the CIP. Any other questions? I'm here tonight to ask for approval for this FY24 to FY30 capital improvement plan.
Yes, Dr. McCarty, you have a recommendation.
Yes, I recommend the approval of the capital improvement plan for 24 through 30 as presented.
Okay, superintendent's asked us to approve the CIP from FY24 to FY30. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by, was that Cody? Is that you?
That was me.
Sorry, Josh. And a second? Okay, seconded by Rodney. We can now have discussion. Are there questions concerning the CIP, any part of the adjustments that we've been given tonight from first read? You made the statement, Mr. Wazlowski, that you anticipate 24/6 or 94/6 as the funding source.
Yeah.
Have we received any guaranteed communication?
No, we'll see that in December whenever they process the CIP through the state. But all the conversations we have been 94/6.
Okay.
We have not seen that on the official document yet, but we're pretty confident in the data that we provided that it'll be that split.
Yeah, it's amazing. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, there is a motion on the floor and a second to approve the CIP as presented to us this evening. Those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Pardon me?
Nay.
Nay. 2 nays? I am a yay. So is it a 3-2 vote?
Thank you for your work.
Virtual learning plan, it's also an action item.
So we have put out for public review and comment the virtual learning plan over the last month, and in board docs, you'll see a summary of the feedback that we received. Collectively, we have 13 community members in favor, 9 opposed, 4 indifferent. And I certainly am willing to answer any questions you might have. But we presented last month, and tonight it's up for action. And if I can provide any further information, I'd be glad to do so.
Dr. McCarty, you have a recommendation?
My recommendation is to approve the virtual learning plan as presented. Reading through the public input, we've had good input from the public, and some of that input we will be able to follow up on on an individual basis. But I recommend the approval of the virtual learning plan.
You're okay.
Sorry.
5 of us heard you.
Well, the most important thing I said is I recommend approval of the virtual learning plan.
Thank you. The superintendent has recommended the virtual learning plan be adopted tonight. Need a motion as such.
So moved.
So moved by Jason. Second?
I'll second.
Second by Rodney. Now I have discussion. Are there any components to the plan that someone would like to ask Dr. Miller?
Yeah, I think parents in general have a hard time with the 91st day of school being used. Can you explain a little bit why that is being used
So
and
historic,
how it would change if we didn't use an asynchronous day for that? What else would happen? Would we have to use a different day for learning for teachers or?
so the 91st day is traditionally a half day. In the morning, students generally come to school. We teach. In the afternoon, by contract, teachers are provided time to work on end of semester type activities. So that is guaranteed time for the teachers to complete grades, set up for the next course at the secondary level, and such. Personal planning, personal grading, that type of thing for students. Right now, we have in our approved calendar the 91st day as being an asynchronous day where students would learn from home asynchronously. In the morning, teachers, many teachers would be engaged in some letters training because we've already scheduled that for that morning for this school year in order to avoid as much as possible taking teachers out of the classroom. So that would be a significant change if we would go back to having in-person learning on that day. Did I cover your question?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think I have one more as well.
Okay.
All of our students are provided with laptops currently.
All of our students are yes, we are at a
Is that from day one at school?
It is. Secondary students have them issued to them and they take them back and forth from home to school on a daily basis. Elementary students have a laptop assigned to them, but they stay at the school for learning purposes. And then if we would have a virtual learning day or a planned day, like the asynchronous 91st day, they would take the device home for that day.
I guess my question is, for the elementary school students, couldn't they, once the weather now starts turning bad, can't they take those home on a daily basis and bring them back? Most carry backpacks. So we could be better prepared there?
That is definitely something that we have considered. I think there would be significant concern with some of our youngest children with the weight of the backpack, the laptop, and all of the other items that they carry, as well as just the protection for the devices and ensuring that we're good fiscal stewards and ensuring that they're well taken care of. Children at that age, especially for second, third, fourth, may not always recognize how they're laying their backpack or where they're laying their backpack. So there are some concerns relative to that, which is why we do keep them at the school for learning, and then send them home just for the virtual days. It does certainly provide for a requirement of advance notice for a virtual day for
Yeah,
our
that's-
students to be prepared,
Yeah, well, our students and our teachers.
and our teachers.
But I think it would be better use if we could have some kind of plan where we could have those younger students take their equipment home and be prepared so we don't have to use a regular
Advance
snow
notice.
day as opposed to a virtual day. I feel like we could be better prepared in that regard.
Other questions?
I have two comments. They're kind of along a similar mindset. I think that in-person days should be protected. I think they are the best option for our students. And then I think synchronous learning is second. So with that in mind, I've also sensed a lot of hesitancy with parents on why we're putting an asynchronous day in the calendar to start. We only have so many days. I think asynchronous out of the three options is the least favorable for students. Are we better served with, if the teachers need the day, should that be a school closure day? And then in a similar vein, I think in practice last year, similar to what Mr. Heimbaum was saying, I think we called our snow days early, or called our, synchronous days early. And then there were some days where the weather was not what we thought it was going to be. So then we lost out on an in-person day. Synchronous learning is okay, but in-person is better. So I think I'd be interested also in how do we have a plan that can, maybe we're going to prepare for a synchronous day, and then if it turns out that the weather is not what we thought it would be, then we can still have a regular day of school. That's just kind of two thoughts.
Yep. No argument with me as far as in-person being best, synchronous being next best. We did feel that day that is in between the semesters, if it was planned properly, we would be able to use effectively. But I think the collective agreement amongst the team is that synchronous instruction would be what would be preferred if we are going to do a virtual day for snow.
So again, with the asynchronous day on the 91st, like for high school students, that would be their first day in a new semester. I think that kind of makes it challenging for teachers to plan for that day. It's the first day with your class. They don't, they're not really even sure what they're doing yet. I think it's hard maybe to come up with an assignment or a task that day.
Right. So, I mean, certainly they can review the syllabus, go over the normal first day of class stuff. And I would also offer that, yes, it would be challenging, but there are many classes that do prior assignments, like pre-assignments, that can kind of front load the learning to then discuss on the very next day. But virtual learning is not without its flaws. We all know that. So we use them judiciously when we use them.
I don't recall, and Dr. Wilson, you might recall, when we had our calendar committee meeting, the discussion concerning that seems to me like it was in favor from the committee of having the 91st day as an asynchronous day, but you might want to comment.
One of the reasons why that changed was because remember, 91st day used to be a floating. So it did help prepare parents, community members, students for what it would look like on that 91st day. But they did, the committee did have stronger feelings for that.
Yeah. And it still would be a floating day, but the parents would know that it is 100% full day of childcare, not a half day and it's going to move.
Other questions, comments? Yes,
I just have one. The only thing I struggle with the virtual learning days is how you provide services to special ed students. And, it says, all, the all the services that are required under the IEP are going to be provided, but I'm not sure I've ever seen an IEP, so I'm not sure what those type services are. And it would help me. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I just would like clarification on how you do that.
Sure. And our expert director of special education is here to share.
Sorry, Chelsea.
So, special education services are fully provided during virtual learning. So, teletherapy is a nationally recognized means of therapy. In the same sense, we do that for academics, OT, PT, you name it. Our occupational and physical therapists, even though they are contracted services, we also provide them with Schoology accounts, so they're able to get in there, access all the students' information, and provide the therapy through that. We do have some students that it is not appropriate for, and we have that identified in our plan, that if it is just not appropriate for a student, that we will make up those services upon their return to in-person, or we'll send home supplemental materials and guide the parents through that.
So if it's a synchronous learning day, you actually have the therapist doing therapy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the asynchronous is kind of what bothers me
Yeah.
with that group.
Yeah, and so we learned a lot during COVID, and so that is something that we have worked through. Generally, when we're talking about asynchronous services, we are making those services up upon their return, with the exception of educational services, because for the most part, and every child is different, but for the most part, those can be provided through altered, modified, adapted activities for the student. But when we're talking about a specific therapy like vision or orientation and mobility, sometimes those do just have to be made up upon return. And
Okay,
we have a
thanks,
plan for
thanks
that.
for the
Yep.
clarification. Appreciate it.
Other questions, comments?
Just looking at the feedback form, your virtual learning plan, you have in favor 12, opposed 6, and different 3, correct? Is that based off their yeses or their nos, or off their actual response? Because it looks like everything we have on here is yes.
On the summary,
But if you read it, if you read their actual descriptions, that they're not in favor of it, but they voted yes.
so we have 9 opposed
Yeah.
on the summary, 13 in favor and 4 indifferent.
No, I only have
It was a
12,
judgment.
12, 6, and 3, but.
Oh, that's parent.
Oh, you're looking at collectively, yep.
Yeah.
13, 9, and 4.
Yep.
But what I'm saying in those 13, 9, and 4, like in this whole column that says, I'm assuming it says, are you in favor, is all yes.
Mark, I know you,
Because you see all the yeses, and then you read the actual response, and it's no.
I mean, there were definitely some yeses because I read them.
Yeah, I
and I
agree.
know that there were definitely several that were in favor and there were several that were kind of indifferent.
But there are
about it.
some that say yes, and then if you read it, it says, no, I'm not in favor of it. So I didn't know if that was a form error or. See, like this one says yes. I don't think virtual classes would help. The learning plan feedback. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Anything else? Other questions? Comments? Okay, we have a motion on the floor to adopt a virtual learning plan as presented to us. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. And it is unanimous. Southern Elementary School update, presentation this evening. You have a mic that he can hold. Oh, you just use that one.
He's strong enough. I will bring to, I'll bring to the board's attention before Rich starts, we are being careful with our display of floor plans and having them on the web. So that's why this was included in your executive content tonight.
All right. Okay, so where we are in the project, last week, we're in a design phase. We had a design team meeting on Monday, the 2nd, with a series of teachers from Broadford, administrators, and then Southern Middle School. The CIP submission requesting the funding went in on Wednesday. We'll know right around the Christmas break where we stand with the funding. So our timeline that we're operating on now is by November, Thanksgiving, we're going to have the design done and submitted. And then after that, we'll work through the construction documents, which is picking the colors and all those kind of things through the winter. And then we hope to bring the project for approval to the board in April to start construction in June. Right now, construction would start in June of 24 and go through the fall of 25, and then completed by that spring of 26. So we're looking at about a 2-year time period to do the project. Okay. Provided the drawings for you. The first one is just an overall schematic. Some people can read these and some people are not, so just kind of bear with me with that. Southern Middle School, as it stands right now, is 92,000 square feet as a footprint. What we have designed is about 107,000 square feet. There's 3 additions to the building, and I'll kind of point them out as I go through this. What we've done, and the first thing is the first addition is, this is the entranceway to Southern Middle where it's along the cafeteria. So we're going to do an addition here, which is your entire main office suite. And then across the hall is an entire health services suite, but also we're looking at a community health center. So this will be the first addition. If you're aware of Southern Middle now, our main office is in the middle of the building. So for this whole security and the vestibule and all those things, we want to relocate out front. The first office that you'll see as you come in the door will be your SRO. We'll have the same vestibule setups that we have at the other schools with the transaction window and all those different features to enhance security, and a lot of glass in that area to provide a good line of sight, also to support security. The corridors in the school, we'll keep the main corridors as you go around the building. So we're kind of look at this as learning communities. The first learning community that we have on the front of the building is going to be for Head Start. These will be your 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds. And then we'll have our pre-K 4 classes embedded here in the middle. And then we'll end up with our K classes or kindergarten here. So all the primary grades will kind of be in this learning community with doors on each side. And out the front, I'll show you on the site plan, we'll have the age-related playground then to support those grades. Okay. The back corner of the building, we'll do a small addition. This will be the learning community for our 1st and 2nd grade. So we'll do a small addition on the back, also with the playground out the back to accommodate those grades. So we have the 8 classrooms to support the 1st and 2nd grade with their own restrooms, and then some collaborative learning spaces where they pull out kids to do interventions within those collaborative spaces. Okay. I'll go to to follow the academics. I'll go to the bottom of the screen here. This is the lower part of the building. This is, if you go in Southern Middle, it's the ramps where all the CTE is. That's where I'm at on the building here. We will build all that up so it is all level. Those ramps are not ADA compliant. They're up to today's standards, so we have to do something with that. So we'll build that up, and these is going to be grades 3 through 6 in this area. Okay, down here in green. Again, pretty standard classroom as you go through that. Some collaborative learning spaces for pullouts for interventions. For the 6th grade, they'll have their own science lab also in that area. Okay, so that kind of finishes, that's your, I guess, your pre-K through 6 or Head Start through 6 at that. The very middle of the building, here in the middle, we are going to move the Yock Glades special ed regional program over to this building. So we have the ALO classrooms along with the life skills classrooms embedded here in the middle. And we also are going to build stars, to support our star suite. There's actually 2 star suites within that with the appropriate areas. And then you'll see some offices for speech, OP, PT, an assistant principal, all kind of in that area. As you go more towards the front, the cafeteria will remain the same. We'll renovate it, paint it, and do those kind of things, but the cafeteria stage will stay the same, along with, we'll redo the kitchen, but all those spaces that you see there will remain pretty much intact, just with some renovation. That main hallway, as you come down, you can see a series of offices, school store, and some faculty restrooms. So that's kind of right there in the front. And then as we go down the hall in the back, we have a large media center. We'll continue that. It's pretty much in the same location as it is today, in the middle of the building. And then wrapped around that, we have your art rooms, music, band, and those resource areas to support that with some larger restrooms there to support the students. All right, so that's kind of there. And then on the back side, the vision of this entire part was the existing gym stays the same size, just some renovation there. We're still going to incorporate the stage off the back. It's, just like we do at Friendsville, we have the stage outside, so we're going to include one of those off the back. And then we are going to add a Judy Center. So this will be the 3rd edition. We have a Judy Center, and then we're going to add an auxiliary gym, so we make sure that we maintain the same gym space that we have at Broadford. And then we have a tech ed room back there and some locker rooms, outside toilets to support anything outside in terms of use of the fields. Okay. So again, there's a lot there with that. But that's kind of where we are with Southern Elementary in terms of the schematic layout. And like I said, now we're getting into the what's in the rooms, all those kind of things, working with the teachers. And they provided a lot of really good information of what they need to support the instructional program. Okay. All right. Any questions on anything about the schematic there?
I have just a couple. Under the future expansion,
Yeah.
will that groundwork be future expansion ready when we're finished with this? In other words, we'll
Yes. Yeah. There'll be some minimal things that'll be done. We have to identify that as part of the IAC. But what it'll tell us is we won't build anything there.
Right.
But we have to identify it.
Okay.
But we probably won't do much in terms of any kind of infrastructure to it. We just have to identify that if we ever need to expand the building,
That's the area.
yeah, that's the area that we look to do that.
In the cafeteria, will all of those items in the cafeteria remain, or will they be replaced? Sinks, refrigerators?
Everything's going to be replaced.
Everything's replaced?
Yeah. I think Scott's going to hold over a few things he left, but like a sink or something, but the main thing is replace all the equipment. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Questions, folks? Anyone? And we anticipate this being a 94-6
Yeah.
split?
Yeah.
You hear that, Commissioner Edwards? 94-6 split?
Yeah.
We don't have it in writing yet.
But you'll get it as soon as we get it.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm pretty confident, very confident.
we are very confident that
Absolutely.
it will be
Okay.
them.
Right, and then we'll go to the site. We can blow this up a little bit, Chad. A lot of this is pretty much, you've kind of seen the same concept. This is as part of the when we did the ed spec with Grimm and Parker. Again, you have the building here. Get some bearings. This is Harvey Winters across the front of the school, then Broadford Road. So we have the expansion out front. We have the portico like at Southern or Northern Middle School. It'll have the bus parking on one side and then the parent drop off on the other side. So we have a separate entrance for the buses to enter and exit along with our staff parking. Once Broadford is demolished, we will replace where Broadford is with fields. We do have the roadway that'll go the entire way around. One thing that we changed, we thought it would be better to bring the roadway all the way here. We had some concern, especially with your PE classes, if they were going to access a field, having kids cross a roadway potentially. So we work with the civil engineer to just bring it out around And then this is your rear parking area to support the community services in the gym. We'll have a gate here at the bottom, so we'll keep this gated off during the school day. So there'll be basketball courts and that. This will kind of be you can play back here and and after hours you can park. So we'll gate this off. That way, if the PE classes want to go out and use the fields, we're not doing anything with traffic. Okay, so that'll kind of support that. But again, the idea is to have one way in, drop off, and then with an exit out to really keep the traffic flowing off of that campus.
What is that above, that little black box above?
That's the existing tennis court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll redo the tennis court there, and we have to build in an outdoor classroom somewhere. We haven't got that far, but we had a request from that through the school. But again, that's pretty much straightforward how we'll deal with the site without Broadford. Any questions there?
Questions about any of the site work as well?
All right, and then the last one, I'm working with part of the next board month's agenda. I'll request that I'll look for approval for adding the portables at Broadford to support the 6th grade for the year. Working with the portable company, this is kind of the space that we've identified. So this is Broadford, this is that rear playground, and then your parking lot. So we've kind of identified a space here to put your portables, and we'd run a ramp down, and then we're going to get a portico over top of that so the students are out of the weather to access the portables outside. So that'll support keeping the 6th grade there during the construction, and then they'll be removed. And again, I'll have his next month view, but we'll be leasing those portables as part of just a 2-year lease, and then we'll return them. Okay. All right. But I'll have more information on Broadford as we lay out the plan of who will be wearing that. I'm working with the new principal there, Miss Ashby. We're kind of talking through that to make sure we have all those enough classrooms and spaces, and I'm pretty comfortable where we are with that plan right now. Okay. All right. So that's the Southern Elementary School update. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, right there where you have your portables.
Yeah.
What's the traffic flow going to look like? Because it's awful at those two schools currently.
This here?
Yeah, so what's our traffic flow going to look like for drop off? Is anything going to change traffic flow wise?
Well, a couple things are going on. We're working with the school to look at the way to do that. We know we're going to have 250 or 300 less people on the campus because the 7th and 8th go to the high school. So we'll kind of assume we'll reduce some traffic there.
Right, but I think every elementary school parent drops their kid off at that
Yeah,
school.
you're
I've
about
never
right.
seen so many cars in my
Yeah, we
life.
are having some issues with the crosswalk there, so we have some things to work out there. But, with that school being not there, I think we have a little more flexibility. Right now, it's tough with everybody trying to get back to the middle
Right.
school. But I think we can come up with something a little bit there. And we'll put a fence up along to separate the project, so we'll have to do probably a little bit of work there to make it all work. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? Anyone?
I actually have a question.
Yeah.
Do you mind going back to the overview? I think there was a slide before. Yes, thank you. With the flow of traffic, the exit onto Harvey Winters, just from memory, that's a fairly steep grade.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a significant amount of earthwork to make that more gradual? Just thinking like if we have inclement weather and we leave early and there's snow starting to fall, is that going to be a problem
that's-
getting up that hill?
Part of the reason why they moved it here, meaning a civil engineer to kind of gradually build it up to the top there.
Gotcha.
The last plan we had, I don't think it went straight up over the hill, and that really brought that concern.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Anything else? Anyone? Thank you very much, Rich.
Not a problem.
Great presentation, where we are at the moment. Okay, we're going to go to public comment. It is 7 o'clock. And we do have one person, Jess Brown, would like to talk to us about the Accident Elementary Fall Fun Festival.
I want to break it.
I have to give the spiel here a minute. Garrett County Board of Education is pleased to receive comments and ideas from our public pertaining to the policies, procedures, and/or practices of the school system. We ask that comments be limited to a maximum time of 3 minutes per individual, unless otherwise considered by the board president. There will be no discussion or action taken at this meeting, but may be considered at a future meeting. Issues that are specific to individual employees should be referred to the immediate supervisors for appropriate consideration and review. Rude, slanderous, or threatening remarks or other behavior that is disruptive or interferes with the order of the meeting will not be permitted. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I am here on behalf of the Axton Elementary PTO, as I would like to personally invite all of you to our annual Fall Fun Festival that is happening next Friday, October 20th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. at the elementary school. So this is our PTO's largest fundraiser of the year, as our PTO gives a lot back into our school as we fund our end of the year field trips. We've increased our teacher reimbursements and a lot of other things. So we are planning to have a lot of different carnival games, pumpkin painting, pumpkin carving, we're bringing back an annual cakewalk, which I'm pleased to share that it was nominated to be in honor of my grandmother who passed earlier this year, as she was one of the original teacher aides that worked at Axton Elementary when the school started, and then she moved on to be the cafeteria manager at Northern Middle, but she always donated cakes to everything in the community, and especially to the Elementary's cakewalk. So I hope to see you all there. The admission is $5 for kiddos, so ages 3 to 16, but infants and parents, adults are free. And we will have a silent auction as well, as that is the biggest part of our fundraiser. So hope to see everybody there on Friday. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so very much. Under new business, our first item is the blueprint for Maryland's future update. It's about dual enrollment. This is presented by Mr. Edwards.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for the opportunity to be here this evening. I am going to speak with you about our dual enrollment program right now. As all of you are aware, Blueprint Pillar 3 mandates that we have to provide 3 distinct pathways for students to have an opportunity to participate in. I want to clarify that for a minute because I think there's some confusion by that. These are not mandated for students to participate in, and they are not requirements to graduate. They are just opportunities that we have to provide for students, and if they choose not to take it, there's no demerit for that. Those 3 distinct pathways are a dual enrollment pathway. The Blueprint calls it middle and early college. We've typically just called it dual enrollment. That's what we're going to speak about tonight. Another one is the CTE pathway, which we've always offered with some slight changes, and accompanied by an apprentice program, which we instituted this year for the first time via the mandate from Blueprint to provide that opportunity. That opportunity will begin in earnest second semester at our high schools. And the third opportunity is the AP opportunity. We've always, for the last probably 30 years, we've offered AP courses. What the Blueprint did was to organize that opportunity a little bit differently than what most counties were offering. So we are in the process of doing that as well. So within the dual enrollment program that was mandated to begin this year, we have 3 options in that pathway, if you will. The first one is an early college program with Frostburg State. We call the Bobcat Academy. Currently, there are 4 students in the Bobcat Academy. All of them are seniors, and all of them are from Northern High School. The Bobcat Academy, for those of you who went to Northern or Southern within the last couple of decades, is very similar to the old ECAP program, with one major difference in the fact that we maintain an FTE on the student. So before an ECAP, once you went to Frostburg State, you were a Frostburg State student. You were no longer a Garrett County Public School student. Now you are a joint Frostburg State student and Garrett County Public School student, which is good for us financially, but it's also good for the student because they get to maintain their status to be able to play sports, be in the band, be in the theater, which when you went the ECAP route, you forfeited that right. So I think this program is a much better program for our students to take advantage of. We are blessed tonight to have one of our own students, Haley Wilderson, who is a participant in the Bobcat Academy. I thought it would be interesting for you all and anyone that's paying attention to this virtually this evening to hear firsthand from one of our students of what Bobcat Academy is like in the day in the life of that particular student. So Haley, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, I really enjoy the Bobcat Academy program. I had kind of done a lot of the AP courses and other higher level courses at Northern already last year, so having that opportunity to do something further was really something I wanted to do. Typically my day at Frostburg is filled with a lot of general education courses, which are really good to just get a baseline and feel like what college is for a high school student, also to interact with those other college students. Typically I have 4 classes, some days I only have 2 though. Like Mr. Edwards had said, I have some classes with the other Northern students as well as some students from Allegheny County. So it's just something I really enjoy, and then being able to come back to the high school and participate in my extracurriculars is really nice. So I really enjoy it, and I hope it's something you guys continue to support.
And I want to thank Haley, for being willing to speak a little bit tonight about her experience, but she and I were able to talk briefly before this meeting tonight about some things that we may change moving forward, which she thought was a good idea, and I value that feedback, so thank you. Currently, this year, our first year of offering this particular opportunity in conjunction with Frostburg, students had to select a pre-identified course of classes. So if you chose to go to Frostburg in the Bobcat Academy, I think you had 4 options that you could choose from that clearly laid out exactly what your classes would be. In dealing with this in sort of our pilot year, if I can use that term, because it is our first year of doing it, we discovered some things that created a challenge with, and moving forward, we're going to look to change and provide more flexibility for our students. One thing Haley failed to mention that I'll toot her horn for about is she's such a good student and brought so many credits with her from dual enrollment from Garrett from her junior year that she didn't have to take some of those predefined classes because she already had those credits when she came in, which was one thing that we really didn't talk a lot about. We could get through some of the math and English, but some of the other courses now that they're able to take as well. So that is, and the other thing I learned tonight that I think is noteworthy is Garrett County currently has 4 students, as we mentioned, in the program, and Allegheny County has 3 students in the program. So we actually have a few more students. I did speak with a couple of additional students from Northern and 2 from Southern who were very interested in the program. I think if we would have provided more flexibility like we're talking about doing next year, we would probably have 1 or 2 more students in the program as well. So that is the early college program with Frostburg. The Bobcat Academy. We also have an early college program with Garrett, and this starts this year. So we've always had dual enrollment courses with Garrett, or at least we have for the last several years. What we are doing now, and this year's freshmen will be the first class to truly have a real opportunity to do this. Although anyone, if they were willing to make the time commitment, intersessions and summers and so on and so forth, we could make work a little bit differently, but is to earn your associate's degree simultaneously with your high school diploma. So that's another thing that the blueprint was really pushing. I know different people have different opinions on that, but it is what it is. It's what we have to do, and that's what we are providing. Currently, this year, what the two associate's degrees that we made available to students, again, predefined sort of, we couldn't just open it up and give the whole college handbook to the students and say you can take whatever you want. It would have logistically been very difficult. So we tried to partner on particular pathways for an AA degree. The two that we're currently offering is an arts and sciences degree with a math and/or science concentration. And we also have business administration. It's too early to sit here right now and be able to tell you we have X amount of students that are attempting this because we just don't know yet. If a freshman would enroll in a dual enrollment course, which really would be limited to first year experience or something else, we don't know that they're going to matriculate all the way through. They may not know that yet. So it's hard for us to say we have 20 kids here or 10 kids there. So we don't have those numbers quite yet. We are proposing for our next offerings in the associate's degree for students to take simultaneously an early childhood education path. We can't do education just blanketly because Blueprint is changing the way that colleges are offering secondary education. So it's a little bit more difficult to do that. So we're going to focus on early childhood elementary school education for that, which our hope is to be able to roll that out next year as an opportunity. And then we're also working with the college. It's not necessarily an AA degree, so to speak, but it is a certificated program in engineering, robotics, and technology, and I briefed you all about that a couple of months ago in what we were working on. We also have traditional dual enrollment for kids that they're not seeking an AA, they're not doing the Bobcat Academy, they want to take a handful of dual enrollment courses throughout their high school career just to pick up some credits. And we have, I would suggest that we probably percentage-wise have the highest percentage in the state of students who are participating in dual enrollment at some level, just in general. At Northern right now, we have 61 students enrolled as 11th graders in a dual enrollment course, and 57 students as a 12th grader. Those are individual students, not total enrollments in a course. Those are actual individuals who are enrolled in a course or more. At Southern, we have two 10th grade students, 61 11th grade students, and 64 12th grade students. These numbers will change slightly later this month. The first year experience course through Garrett is a 1-credit course that we're all going to offer through our remediation period, RAMS or pause period, because it is a shorter credit hour requirement. And they are going to target freshmen for that to see how many students may be interested in pursuing the AA degree, but it is open to any student who might be interested in taking that opportunity. So those numbers will probably climb. So if you total those, what you end up with, and I'll save you the numbers, but 48% of our junior class in Garrett County Public Schools, Northern and Southern combined, are taking at least one dual enrollment course. 50% of our seniors, for a total of 49% of our upperclassmen who are currently enrolled in a dual enrollment opportunity, whether it be the 4 students at Frostburg or all the other students at Garrett. So right now, that is a snapshot of what our dual enrollment program looks like and a little idea of where we are looking at going next year. I would be happy to attempt to answer any questions that you all have.
Questions? Jason, anyone? No? Okay.
For the,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
for the dually enrolled students, Are all those classes provided at the college, or so they have to travel to the college, or is some of them provided at the school?
It's a all of the above approach. So right now we have several courses where Garrett, now the Frostburg State one, 100%, those students are going to Frostburg State. And that's part of the contract that they signed. For the Garrett dual enrolled courses, we have several courses where Garrett sends one of their instructors to our campus, Northern and/or Southern, to instruct our students face-to-face at the school. We have a couple of courses where Garrett County Public School our teachers are providing the curriculum for the college. We have some instances where our students are doing it virtually, and they could be doing that from our campus, Northern or Southern, or from home. We have some instances where we have students going to Garrett's campus to take the course. So we really have just about every option available. We're providing that in some way, shape, or form. My gut tells me, looking into the future, 2 or 3 years from now, you can see the numbers already. We have 50% of our students basically doing this as upperclassmen. Those numbers are going to continue to grow, and there probably will come a day where we are running buses from Northern and Southern to Garrett College. That will not be next year, but I can see that happening in the years to follow.
Is there tuition that they have to pay to the college?
So Blueprint mandates a great question, and Blueprint mandates that the student cannot be held responsible for any expenses. So the nice thing is our agreements and our MOUs with these institutions are all on a discounted rate. So we're not paying a full anything for any of these students. We've negotiated a discounted rate. What we've done with the college, with Garrett College, is we work together with the county, the college, and the public school system to split some of those costs a little bit, so that we've figured out ways to do it that isn't where we're just paying 100% of everything for a student. I think it is important to mention that our plan is if a student fails a course, we will not pay, nor are we obligated to pay for them to retake that course. So we can't just send them there and they just do whatever they want and they're not pulling their weight. They have to pass it. We're not going to pay for them to retake it. So there are some regulations to that, but for the most part, and that's why I think you'll continue to see this program grow, is that it's a great opportunity for students to graduate early from college and graduate free from college, or at least junior college.
Is there a maximum number that you can take of classes?
There is. The short answer is no. However, we do not have to pay for summer classes. We don't have to pay for anything outside of the normal scope of the school day. So we don't have to pay for evening classes. We don't have to pay for summer classes, those types of things. Because the college works on a different schedule, they do Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and you can stack some classes. They can certainly take more classes than a traditional high school would take because of the way their day is structured. So there's not technically a limit to that, but we don't have to pay for anything outside of the normal school day.
What do you see as the negative aspect of all of this?
In a small school system such as ours, the negative is every time a student takes a Garrett College course, it's a Garrett County Public School course they are not taking. And as those class numbers decline in number, then those are classes, elective classes or CTE classes that if they're not enrolled at a certain level may not be offered anymore. That is the negative, and that's always been the negative. So that's the challenge. And that's one reason we're also looking and trying very hard to have more of our teachers certified by MHEC to be able to teach some of those Garrett courses as well.
You also, as you well know, in education your entire life, there's a segment of leadership that you lose in those schools as well. Because many of those kids, we lost much of Haley's leadership in that school this senior
Sure.
year, because she's opted to do something she believes in. To me, that becomes the greatest loss that we have. We're helping the families, we're helping the students, but we're losing that connection to the school as a whole. And how we navigate that, I don't know. I mean, but it's going to have to be navigated. I just don't know how it's going to happen.
One, and our thought on that was back to the comparison of ECAP and the Bobcat Academy. You know, we want our kids involved in the school as much as possible, even if they're not there 9 to 5 or 8 to 3:30 every day. If they're if they're in the band, if they're in the theater, if they're in student council, we can somehow keep a connection and benefit from their leadership and experience. That's one way that we're trying. I agree 100% with everything you just said. And when we get into, and I know this is not the presentation, but apprenticeship is going to do the same thing. It's going to take the student out of the building. And, you know, the competition for kids, you know, is great right now in every aspect of what we're trying to do. And we've got a lot of competing interests the kids have, that they want to go to work, or they want to go to college, or they want to go wherever. It's not like before, when we pretty much we knew we were going to have them every day, all day, and we could make schedules around that. Right now, I couldn't tell you what we're going to offer next year at Northern and Southern, because we haven't started building the schedule, but it will be all based on what students request. And if they're all going the dual enrollment route, what does that mean they're not taking at a particular school we have here that maybe other kids won't have a chance to take, because there are only 3 kids signed up for the course?
Exactly.
Just a point of clarification, the Bobcat Academy also has a 15 credit cap on it.
Yes.
So that's just a little bit different than the Garrett College.
Are you fully enrolled in those colleges? I mean, are you a fully enrolled college student?
Bobcat Academy, yes.
Okay.
Garrett College, I mean, you're technically a student of theirs. I think that may be open to interpretation. The answer to your question could be open to interpretation depending on.
I just wonder if a senior could go to Garrett and play baseball his senior year for Garrett.
I do not believe right now that is an option.
Yeah.
Nor the Bobcat Academy. I don't think that's an option.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Other questions, anyone?
Did you? Yes, Haley.
It started paying for them, because I know I took a Garrett course this summer and my textbooks were paid for through the county. So is that something you're saying in the future you won't pay for completely, or just you have the option to not do that if you don't want to?
I don't think the textbook thing, are we paying the textbooks, or is that that may not have been Garrett County Public Schools that paid for textbooks. I could get an answer on that, but I know our agreement at Garrett with the college and the county, textbooks was being taken care of by somebody, and fees were being taken care of by some. So it's not necessarily as simple as it might have been paid for, but it might not have been the public school system that paid for it. It's a great question.
Okay, thank you. We certainly appreciate the update, and it's change in education for sure.
Certainly is. Thank you, Gab.
Our next presentation is the 2023-24 Comprehensive Maintenance Plan. This is a draft, so it's a first read for us with our comprehensive plan.
Okay, good evening. In front of you is the comprehensive maintenance plan dated November 2023. This was put together from our maintenance staff. It kind of identifies our projects, area of prioritization, things we want to try to get done with the operational budget, and then some of the deferred things that we'd have to look for other funding sources through the CIP, aging schools, that we identified at all of the facilities here in Garrett County Public Schools. So the majority of the text all stayed the same. What was updated in the document was just the projects and the costs of some of those projects.
Questions for Mr. Wazlowski about the draft that we just got? That I will say I love the way the format is.
Yeah.
I think it speaks down to my level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions? Anyone? Okay, I'm sure we'll have some next month.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
FY 2023 financial statements and single audit results. This is an action item.
Okay, so the annual financial reports and the audit engagement was finalized on Friday, September 29th, and we prepared a recorded presentation for your viewing pleasure. So we're here this evening to ask if there are any questions and to have the board adopt the financials.
Questions concerning the financial audit? Anyone?
I have a question. I was just curious to, the process this year is different. Obviously, normally the board meets for a special meeting to get the presentation from the firm and able to ask them questions directly. And I was just curious to see, I think it maybe a timeline issue, and just kind of curious if that was the firm unable to provide it in a timely manner, or did something change I'm not aware of?
Well, we implemented GASB 96, this engagement, and the Rhoda Haver Group had some leave, some personnel that were on leave during our engagement as well. And so we worked together, and we, Mr. Steckel and I basically called it because we wanted to make sure that we took our time and had the financial statements prepared accurately. And so that's why we pivoted with a different approach. We did meet, Mr. Steckel met with Superintendent McCartney and myself to review it. And then I met with Board President Mr. Woods to discuss it prior to September 29th. So.
Other questions? Okay, it is an action item. Superintendent McCartney, you have a recommendation?
My recommendation is to approve the fiscal year 2023 financial statements and single audit results.
Okay, there's a recommendation on the superintendent to approve the FY 2023 financial statements and audit results. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Jason.
Second.
Seconded by Cody. Further discussion? Oh, was it Josh?
Yeah,
I
Josh.
keep, gotta get my hands going the right direction. I'm sorry about Josh. Are there any further questions? Okay. We have a motion on the floor to accept the 2023 financial statements and single audit results. Those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And it is adopted. And thank you and your staff. I know that's the most stressful thing you do all year, ensuring that everything is perfectly right. And as I said to her when I met with Dr. McCartney and Allison, I only look at one page. Were there any findings? And when that page is clean, that's really, that's my pay grade. I can't go any higher than that. So thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Our next item is FY 2025 budget overview, and that's going to be presented by Schweitzer as well.
Yes. So this evening we're going to do what we normally do in October. We're going to talk about some early student enrollment numbers as well as early revenue estimates. The budget development cycle is much like it's been in the past since I've been in this role. We've laid out for you the board meeting timeline that we're proposing. We're here this evening, October 10th, providing very early estimate. Again, I cannot caution enough that it's early student enrollment numbers. We're proposing a January 9th budget work session to gain insight on the board's budget initiatives. and define your priorities. Then we'll move towards February 13th, where we will be able to present better revenue numbers after the state provides draft numbers. Somewhere in there, we will present to the county commissioners any of our requests. And then we're hopeful that we'll have a May 14th superintendent proposed budget to present for you with approval in June. So these estimates are as of September 26th. So we did present the numbers a little bit different than we have in the past. We're showing our estimated unrestricted side by side, as well as the restricted amount. We've also dropped in a K through 12 student count as of 9/26, and unfortunately, we are down a little over 40 students. It's not surprising, but it's not anything we were not anticipating, but it is still disappointing. So the unrestricted revenue, the $54.6 million from FY24 budget, we anticipate that will be relatively stable. I know that it does show about a $500,000 decrease, but that we do have a swing, an anticipated swing from our compensatory education numbers, because those come a little bit later. So we think we'll be closer to flat on unrestricted. The restricted revenue, though, we do anticipate seeing about a $4 million decrease year over year. And those are the funds that have come to us through the federal COVID recovery money. All of that money must be spent by September of 2024. And we are well aware, we have many plans in place, lots of charts tracking that money. And we're well on our way to that target of completely spending it out. But just like operations in other areas of our lives and even our school system, we're getting back to pre-pandemic levels. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing with our restricted current expense fund. And I spoke about it a little bit also in the financial report presentation as well, because we saw a huge increase. We're well over $11 million in our restricted fund in FY23. And normally we're around $5 million. So we're really just getting back to those pre-pandemic norms. Are there any questions about that?
I have one. The restricted revenue, are there any like ongoing costs that as that revenue goes away that we've signed up for, any recurring positions that are going to have to be funded elsewhere?
We're working on identifying that. However, from the first year that we had the restricted funding through to the current fiscal 24, we've shifted the positions that have been funded with restricted funding sources, knowing what's on the forefront of restricted funding that we possibly could get. So we've very strategically planned what positions are funded with ARP ESSER or with any of the SRSA, all of the different funding sources. So we're confident that any position that we need to maintain will either have another restricted funding source, or we will be able to absorb it in the unrestricted budget.
And the decrease in unrestricted, is that largely to the number that's included for the foundation enrollment? Is that a 3-year average?
It is a 3-year average.
And this will be the
but-
first year without pre-COVID levels, is that right?
Correct, because it skipped a year. So we disqualified fall of 20. So you're right. We lose a big number, and
But there was a big just during COVID, a lot of students, we lost 200-ish students. So this would be the first year where all 3 years are post-COVID, post that relatively large
Correct.
step
But
down.
really, the decrease you're seeing here, the $500,000, is comp ed. It's not in the foundation. It's really in the comp ed. And we believe that by the end of October, we'll capture a lot of those students again, because remember, for comp ed, we are going compensatory education program. We are going off of the free and reduced meal count. The free and reduced meal count must be certified every year, and it's later than the 930 count. So they have until 1030 to complete a new form.
Is it the secondary services that come late? Like I know there's like, what's the word to use? There's kind of like an automatic capture that if a family is receiving some other kind of benefit, are those the ones, is that the category that comes later, or
No.
is it the manual signups
It's
that
the
come later?
manual. It's the manual. Yeah. Yeah. So. Okay. So here we really just wanted to remind the board that in fiscal year 25, the budget that we're getting ready to develop, we must budget with weighted student funding for all of our Blueprint program revenues. We've listed them here. And there are other pieces of revenue that Garrett County Public Schools receives that aren't held to the same requirements as these Blueprint program revenues. However, they're relatively small. So it's pretty small portion of our overall unrestricted budget. Are there any questions about any of the Blueprint programs or weighted student funding?
Any other questions anyone has? Yes, Rodney.
On the career ladder funding that we're getting from the state under the Blueprint, what is that based on? The number of people we have actually getting national certification, or I mean, how do they calculate that?
Right. So for the national board certification revenue piece, we have an initial certification that Dr. Wilderson prepares, and then we do a second confirmation for the state based upon which of those nationally board certified teachers are actually qualified to receive the stipend. So they must truly be teaching. They can't just be administrators or serving the school system in a different capacity. So that revenue amount gets placed as a draft revenue, but then it changes. It even changed for FY23. It's already changed for 24.
Are you required to use that specifically to fund that extra cost?
We have to.
Yeah,
We
you have
because
to fund
we're
it.
not going to find $10,000 anywhere else
Yeah,
to fulfill that need. So it is coded as such, and it goes straight to those specific individuals. So there's zero flexibility with that piece of revenue.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of other things that you have to spend money on related to teacher salaries and everything, and it's all a package, I guess, when you put it all together, what you need to come up with to meet, the budget targets. But I don't know, there's a lot of discussion at the Blueprint session down at MABE about that, and I don't know that everybody totally agreed with the AIB that there was enough money provided for that to actually pay for what we needed to do. We're not the only ones that think that.
Would it be accurate to say for the career ladder, the incidence of that cost is in a way outside the Board of Ed's unrestricted fund? Because if, let's say if a teacher qualifies for that tomorrow, a portion of that's going to be paid by the county commissioners. The other portion will be paid by the state. It's not like something that the Board of Ed has to come up with in their current allotment of money.
For National Board Certified or CCR, College and Career Readiness?
For for the national certification.
national board certification.
Yeah.
So there's a point in time where they get the raise, and it's per policy, per board policy, and they must submit their certification to HR, and then we provide it. It's not a rolling addition to salaries. So those numbers have been sent in with Dr. Wildeson's certification. So we do have leading indicator data that we're submitting. It's not just a surprise who has that or who now has that designation. And we have trend data on where all of our staff members are in the pipeline towards completing that. So we can estimate out what that revenue looks like.
Let me say that in a different way. I guess how many teachers you have, that goes into a weighted formula. Like if let's say they were certified today, there's a time lag, so maybe next year. Part of that is paid by the county commissioner's office. The other part's paid by the state. So like if someone becomes certified, it's not like the Board of Education has to come up with that extra $10,000.
Correct.
That'll be $10,000 in additional revenue that in a way you're pass through to the employee.
Correct. But I think what Mr. Glovefeld was asking is if we had any flexibility with that revenue to do anything else with it.
Yeah.
And we don't.
Yeah. I was just trying to highlight maybe the pro of it. The pro if someone becomes eligible for it. It's not like the local board of education has to come up with that money. That's money that will be added to revenue by statute.
Yeah.
Others? Any other questions? Anyone? Okay. Thank you, Allison, for the update, and sure we're going to be having a lot of
Talk
financial.
more later.
Yes, we will. I'm sure we'll meet again. All right, that takes us through most of our business. Now we'll go to student member report, which, Haley, you want to tell us how the school year is starting?
Sure. So GCAC Business, our executive board met on September 19th to plan our first General Assembly for the year and discuss some potential fundraisers. Our first General Assembly for the year will occur tomorrow, October 11th at Garrett College. We're going to have 2 workshops, a food drive, service project, discussion groups, and other activities. As for general student updates, Southern High's marching band placed first this weekend at the Allegheny Band Tournament. Northern High held their homecoming game, winning 55-0 over Hancock, as well as hosting their homecoming dance on Saturday. As well, Northern High's FFA and theater will be hosting a haunted hayride event on October 12th. Southern Middle School's 6th grade team raised over $3,400 at their walk-a-thon for Broken Road Associates, a local nonprofit that supports infants in the NICU. Southern Middle also held their back-to-school tailgate and dance party for students on September 23rd. And Northern Middle's STAR class made fall treats for the resident at Cherry Hill Assisted Living.
Very good. Questions for Haley? Well, Haley, I'm going to make a presentation the superintendent asked me to make. We were involved in as a participant in a national lawsuit, which was won by a number of entities throughout the nation, which had to do with vaping and trying to curb that epidemic. In winning that lawsuit, we have been given approximately $14,000. We'd like to award that to the Association of Student Councils for Garrett County for your use to try to help with that epidemic in our county. To be used, I'm sure, in coordination with a number of people, but that's seed money to help us overcome that.
I can assure you the association will definitely put that to good use, and we really appreciate the support and trying to collaborate with you guys to curb that epidemic, because it is definitely an issue, but we really do appreciate the support and working with you guys on different projects like that.
You're more than welcome. I'm sure you will do a great job. Okay, we have some board member updates. Anybody? I did go to the Swan Meadow Fall Festival. Oh, okay.
Last week, a number of the people on the board here attended the MADE conference in Annapolis. It was a very good conference this year, I believe. Really good inspirational speaker at the end on Wednesday morning. A young man that was born with Down syndrome. His father came up with a way to improve things. If you just get 1% better every day, eventually you'll meet your goals. And he set out a goal for his son. His son and him set out a goal to actually compete and qualify for the Ironman competition, or actually to get through it. And despite a lot of bumps along the way, he actually made it. He was the first person with Down syndrome ever to actually compete successfully in the Ironman competition. And now he's done 5 of them, and he's got other people with his disability actually signing up to do it. But it's amazing he was able to compete. If you think of the Ironman, what they have to do, it's incredible. I think it's a 123-mile bike ride and a marathon run.
2-mile swim, I think.
And 12-mile swim in the ocean. And it took him 6 months to just learn how to ride the bike, to stay steady on the bike. But he actually did it under the time that's required to actually qualify to be an Ironman. So, and he spoke to the group as well as his father, and it was a really, really inspirational program. You could probably see it on YouTube if you looked it up.
Yeah, probably.
With conferences like that, Dr. McCartney was there, and Brandon was there, and it's not so much a meeting. It's the networking that you get to do with other counties and find out what other counties are doing, and trade ideas, and it's. I think it was a really rewarding conference to be at, and hopefully more of us can go in the future. I had a great time there.
Good. Did go to the Swan Meadow Fall Festival. It had a great festival. It was packed with people. I mean, it was just absolutely packed. And I'm sure they made a lot of money that day because there were a lot of things to be auctioned off. And the line was from here to the back of the cafeteria to get the donuts. So I stood in the line to get the donuts, and by the time I stood in the line to get the donuts, and I'd stand in line to get in to get the food, but as soon as I got in the line to get the food, the donut line was gone. So I did it backwards. I should have done it the other way, but Debbie and I had a great time, and I think they really had a great evening. Anything else, anybody? Okay, Superintendent McCartney, do you have an update?
Excuse me, I do. We have, thanks to Mark Green for producing this, I am on. We have an annual report. I want to make sure that you get one at some point. I'm not going to go through the report tonight, but it is a report that highlights the successes of the Garrett County school system. And the reason I wanted to bring it to the public's attention tonight, those who are tuning in, as well as the 1 or 2 that are here, is that I would love to have the opportunity to speak to any group in Garrett County and share our annual report, share the successes of the county, and share why it is you should have your child enrolled in our school system. So wanted to, again, share this with the board tonight. Appreciate the input of Jason as we were getting this together, because he gave us some very good advice. But again, the important part would be to share this with our community and to be able to speak with different groups of people. So if anyone's listening and you're interested, please contact the Garrett County Public School System, and we would be more than happy to speak with you and share.
Great. Great idea. Hopefully we'll have some takers that'll want to hear our story. Anything for the good of the group? One wants to bring forward? Okay, hearing nothing, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Jason,
Second.
seconded by Josh. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Thank you for coming. Rich and Allison, can I see